Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and I am a part-time reseller under the name Lather, Rinse, Repeat Retail. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than some of the other ones that I've done so far, and it's because it's not going to be about thrifting and it's not going to be about what I sold, but it's going to be about the spreadsheet that I use to keep track of both of those things, what I bought and what I sold. So I actually use just an Excel spreadsheet to sort of run everything. I think I've mentioned this in videos before, but if you haven't watched those, my background is in accounting, so spreadsheets are of a very comfort level to me. When I started reselling, I didn't really keep track of my sales. And that was just because a lot of the things that I was selling were straight out of my closet or things that I had that maybe I just didn't want anymore. The first actual sourcing trip I did was back in August of 2020. And when I went on that trip, I did enter these items into a spreadsheet to track my cost of goods. And I do this for two reasons. One, whenever it is time to file my taxes, obviously the cost of my goods is an expense that would be subtracted from the amount of money that I made. Secondly, I do this because I like to be able to know how much exactly that I paid for an item so that I know how much I'm willing to let it go for. If I get an offer, it's really easy for me to look at the spreadsheet and see whether it's a good offer that I should accept or not. Once your closet gets up to a certain number of items, it's impossible for me to remember what I paid for something and to know whether a $35 offer on something is actually good or not. So I am going to sort of share my spreadsheet with you at some point in this video. I did blank out my cost of goods. So when we get to that part, you'll see that I do have them whited out. It's just not really a number that at this point I am comfortable sharing. When I show you my sales one for things that I've already sold, I don't mind showing that number, but yeah, I just feel like it's not something that I want to, for whatever reason, share at this moment. I might change my mind later on, but that's how I feel today. So I guess I'm not really, this video isn't going to step by step show you how I did it, like how I've set up this spreadsheet. It's just sort of going to be a quick overview of how I keep track of things, because it is one of the things that I think is really important in the health of your business, as well as if you're trying to scale and grow your business. I just think that most people probably who are doing this part-time or full-time have some sort of system, but I see a lot of videos sharing how people do theirs, and some things that I've seen have actually influenced how I've set mine up and other metrics that I keep track of. So I just thought that if you're fairly new to reselling, this might be a helpful sort of guide on what you should be keeping track of. And if you do something a little bit differently that you see here, or there's a number that you track that is important to you that I'm not tracking, let me know, because that could be also super helpful for me to start implementing. And as well, if you do have any Excel questions on like maybe how I set up some sort of like formula drives. Sorry, I just got a question about a listing. I'm going to pause this. Yeah, where was I? Yeah, if you have any questions about how like the formulas in Excel work, specifically like especially how I'm like linking certain spreadsheets, also feel free to leave a comment and I might be able to answer your question. Excel is something that I definitely don't use it to its full functionality by any means, but I am pretty comfortable with it. And yeah, anyway, let's get started. I'm just going to share my screen with you because I think that that might be the easiest way. That's why I'm recording this on Zoom, which I think is probably going to be slightly lesser quality. So my apologies for that. I've actually never done this before, so I hope I'm doing it right. Okay, cool. So you'll see down here, I have my purchases, my inventory tracking, my sales, and then some months. So I'm going to start with this purchases spreadsheet. So this is basically, I'm just going to scroll through quickly, and this is every single time I make a purchase, be it at the thrift store or retail arbitrage. So column C here is my purchase price before tax, and column D is my purchase price after tax. So you can see I do have those things hidden. And so this is here. So this is The purchase date on this is August 12th, 2020, and you can see all the things that I bought. So the colors, blue means that I have it listed, green means that it is sold. If it's orange, which you may have saw while I was scrolling down, that means I have the listing set up, but it's not actually available for sale yet. There's two reasons that I do that. One, I maybe have something that I need to look up. Maybe I haven't really decided on the cost that I want to sell it for, but I have everything else ready to go. But most likely it's that it's in shipping, it's in transit. So that's usually retail arbitrage things that I know they're coming. I know exactly how the listing is going to get set up. The only thing that I need to do is add some of my own photos that I take of the actual item and then share it. So that just saves me a lot of time, especially if I've ordered something that's like 5 to 15 items and I already have it set up and ready to go. So let's make a fictional sale. So let's say I sold these Kylie and Kendall jean shorts. So I would write in that I sold them today, which is March 7th, and then my actual earnings. So that's what Poshmark is going to put into my bank account. So that is, if I sold it for $25, less their 20% and tax. So I'm just going to put in $18. Let's say I made $18 on those. So you'll see here, the next cell, the profit or loss, is going to automatically update. And now that's my profit on that item. So I have it set up such that as soon as I enter the earnings, that will tell me how much money I have made. So before that, it's a negative amount. So that's my, oh shit, I guess I am showing my cost of goods. Okay, well, you're gonna see my cost of goods for these items that I bought back in August. Before I scroll down again, I'm gonna hide those too. But yeah, so that is basically how I decide whether I'm going to accept an offer or not. I say to myself, okay, they're offering me $25. I know that I'll make 20. Approximately what is going to be my profit on that item. I know that that's a rough guess because the taxes come out and stuff as well, but that's kind of how I decide. So I'm just gonna make those all white and make that all white. And now this column H is my profit loss column. So I do that for every single time I go shopping. What this pink one means is that means everything in that purchase has sold. So I don't have to worry about it anymore, I guess. And it goes right down to, oh yeah, here's the orange that I was talking about. So this is a purchase that I made and I haven't received it yet, so none of it's listed. And there's a couple things that just these are just super low ticket items, so I haven't taken the time to list them yet. These here, I need to find a black ribbon. I noticed when I looked for stock photos of the image that these pants that I found while thrifting were missing a black ribbon. These are actually, I bought them and I noticed that they had a small stain on the back and I actually bleach dyed them. So if you follow me on Instagram at @LeatherRinseRepeat Retail, you will see a reel of me bleach dyeing those pants, which is kind of cool. And those ones are, again, it's a purchase that I made. The ones that are still white, just I haven't set up yet. And this had a stain on it, so I don't even think I can sell it. I haven't really tried getting it out yet. But you can see, I plan how much I'm going to list it for. And I do cross list on Depop as well. And yeah, so that is how I track all my purchases. I find it really helpful to have them all in one list so I can quickly see whether it is worth it to me to accept an offer. Next, I have my inventory tracking sheet. So those items there, that just basically tells me everything that is available for sale. And as soon as I sell it, I do delete it from this list. And we'll talk about why that is in a minute. But it also tells me where it is. So some of these items are in different boxes. So I do not have a dedicated room for poshing. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment, but we do have a very big walk-in closet. And so I just kind of have cardboard boxes tucked in everywhere, and I put letters on them, and then I put everything in a Ziploc bag because we have a dog and I don't want to ship things that have dog hair on them. I also don't want to have to re-prep things for sale after I have already prepped them for photographing. So I do keep them in Ziploc bags. Sometimes I send the Ziploc bag, sometimes I take it out and wrap it differently. Really depends on what style of packaging I'm going to use for that item and whether I think it will be protected or not. So in this one, I just put wherever the item is, what the actual item is. I have a category. I have when I purchased it, I have what I paid for it, and I have when I listed it. So a lot of this stuff is I've had for a little while. It doesn't have list dates. I didn't start really keeping track of things until the middle of January, so roughly 2 months ago. So you'll see now that I have when I listed it and then what I listed it for. And then there'll be a solid line here at the end of every month, and that's important as well. So let's go with our assumption here. We sold these guys, right? We sold them for $18 profit or 18 earnings. I don't know. We're going to say we sold them for 20 bucks just to make it easy. So if I copied that and I brought it over to my March spreadsheet. So this is everything I've sold so far in March. So then I would just paste it here, and then I have a drop-down menu for where I sold it. So those are the 4 places that I sell on, except for eBay. So I still really haven't figured out eBay yet and how to avoid being a target for people who are trying to scam me. Anyway, it's another story for another day. But let's say I sold these on Poshmark, and then I just put the brand in here again. I don't know why I do this, to be honest. I could probably dump this column, but maybe someday if I want to see how much of a certain brand I sold, I'll want to sort it. So my cost of goods are in there. You can see it was $5.69. I don't have the list date on that because I've had that guy for a while. We'll say we sold it today. We'll say we sold it for $20. Let's say our costs of the shipping were $2. We know that's unrealistic, but then that gives me my $18 the profit that I received, and then I can quickly calculate that. This is just going to give me a really large number because I don't have the list date in, but what it would normally do, you can see above, it will tell me how long I had it listed for. So you can see I had a couple items in here that were only listed for 1 day. Love that. Actually, this month has been a lot of items that are new. So that's one thing you got to tell yourself. If it's sitting in a death pile, it's not available for sale. So I think you're a lot more likely to sell newly listed items than stuff that has been available for 6 months. So don't forget that. And then it will also tell me my gross profit margin on that item. I aim for above 50%. That's kind of my goal. Some here are a little lower, and that's okay. Some are high, and that's great. But retail stores, typically you'll find they're between 65 and 80%. What your gross profit margin means is basically how much more you were able to sell it for than how much you paid for it. The higher the percentage is, the better. Then I also ask myself the list price minus my sales price. So that means how much did I have to drop the price to be able to sell that item? So I put that in both dollar form and percent form. So that's very, very helpful information for me, all in one super snapshot there. Then I go a little deeper. So I have the whole year listed out here. So you can see I have January. I do have a little note down here that said started this the end of January, so it has limited data. So we'll look at February because it's the only real month that I've completed. So I make a sales goal for myself each month, and then you see my total sales. So you look up here, you can see that that says equals plus February exclamation point J39. So that cell is actually pulled directly from this February spreadsheet down here, this blue number. So I don't enter this information. So like if I put in here $20 and that goes up to 105.4, that automatically populates into this spreadsheet. So that's helpful because I'm not constantly double entering a bunch of data. And so what this spreadsheet here tells me, so I've got my sales, my earnings, which is how much money is actually going to get deposited into my account from Poshmark, and then my profit, which is my earnings minus how much I paid for all those items. So then my beginning inventory is obviously just what my ending inventory was. My ending inventory, so if it's going to not be the same now because I've made sales that I listed in March already, but that's why I had this line here. So I'll draw that line and say, okay, how many items were available for sale at that date? So if I look at February, it's 178 now, and I had 184 in my available for sale ending inventory. There also are some things in my closet I will note as well that are from my personal closet. I don't include those in my inventory numbers just simply because I don't really upload new stuff all that often, but I also don't really consider those things real sales, even though obviously I'm making money from them and they're great. I consider those to have zero cost of goods. So most of this stuff is more like business expensy stuff. So then I just count up. So then, I can't talk. So I just figure out how many items are available for sale at the end of the month. And then I take an average of those two numbers. That lets me know the average of those two numbers. And then I count up how many items I listed in the month. And then I count up my total number of sales. So I made 36 sales in February. And I do count how many of those sales were from items that got listed in February. That lets me know basically how many quick flips did I have. And then my sold from previous inventory. So if you add 27 and 9, down here you'll see you get 36, and that's how many total sales I had. So my average margin is just this number. So that's 57%. It's just this number here. So it's just the average of that column. So you can see average of that column. And then I also keep track of my average sales price, my average earnings, my average cost of goods sold, and my average profit. And then I have my sell-through rate, which is just the number of units you sold versus the number of units that you purchased that month. The sell-through rate previously is just from your last month. So you can compare the two numbers from the prior month and this month. And then my sell-through rate of the items that I listed, which tells me again how many quick flips that I've had and just a different metric. And then I have how many average sales per day I have. So I had on average 1.29 sales per day in February, and that's just calculated by saying my total number of sales divided how many days there are in the month. And then I take my sales total per platform, my sales units per platform, and my average sales price per platform. And that is what I keep track of. So you can see obviously the average sales price on Facebook is better than the average sales price on Posh because there's no platform fee. Depop is super inflated because I had I had 3 sales on Depop. Yeah, look right there. And one of them was like $115. So it's not very difficult. If you're not making a lot of sales on a platform and you made one really good sale, then your average obviously is going to be a bit of an outlier because it's too high. And same thing goes if you had one like super crap low sale. Like if I sold something for $5 just to get rid of it, that would be a bit of an outlier. It would drive my average down. So that is everything that I keep track of. I have these spreadsheets set up just for the future. But that is how I do it. And it seems really complicated actually now when I look at it. But once you have it all set up, it's literally just what I did there. I copied that item into this column and I filled out those numbers. And that is all that I have to do to get all of that information. So that is, to me, it's invaluable. I'm gonna just delete that column there. And as for my purchases, it's so helpful for me to just be able to see very quickly exactly what I paid for each item. It's also just really helpful for me visually to look at these colors and say, okay, one other thing that I do, and you can't see it right now because I have these columns hidden, but I already showed you these ones, so I'll bring those back to life actually. And I'm really gonna regret changing the colors of all these because I will have to change them back, but that's okay. So I sum this column, and what that does for me is it tells me whether that is a profitable trip or not. So sometimes if I have already made money from a shopping trip, like this next one here, this was a retail arbitrage that I did. In theory, I actually bought these 2 coats for my boyfriend for his birthday, and neither one of them fit. And these 2 things, since I was making that order anyway, I did buy those as retail arbitrage items. All 4 of them ended up for sale. This one still hasn't sold, and I paid $31.98 for it. I paid too much, so it's just kind of been sitting. I was lucky I was able to sell this Nike hoodie on Facebook Marketplace, so I was able to make a little bit more. I mean, all those items are new with tags, so yeah, new with tags is not the holy grail that people think that it can be. People won't pay $10 less than it is in the store just because. So just be careful of that. This was obviously back in September when I didn't really know what I was doing. I basically wanted to justify the shipping cost that company charges. So I ordered a couple things and I thought they would pay off. One of them obviously has, one of them obviously has not. But yeah, like basically that shopping trip has basically profited me $60 at this point. So if I break even or even only get $30 for that and lose a little bit of money, I'm not super sad about it. So that's another little number that I look at when I'm saying, should I accept this offer or not? And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to undo my screen share and come back to my messy bedroom. I did not make my bed today. And yeah, other than that, I'm going to give you a quick life update. So in addition to reselling, I had been working at a restaurant. This restaurant, Battery Park, great place. If you're ever in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, make sure you go there. I'm leaving that job not because I don't like it. I love everyone there. It's the best restaurant job I've ever had, but I am going back to the accounting world. I got offered a job as a senior corporate accountant with a great company here in the city, and I'm really excited about it. I start on March 22nd. That's going to obviously affect my reselling abilities. So I do try to publish a video here every Monday. If I miss or I'm late, I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, I sort of, this opportunity fell into my lap a little bit, and it was just one of those offers you can't refuse. So I'm going to take it. I'm still going to be reselling. I'm still going to be thrifting. I'm still going to be making these videos. And yeah, if you liked this one, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel. Still going to have a weekly video every Monday as often as I can. If it comes out on Tuesday, I'm really sorry. I'll probably post about it on my Instagram, which I mentioned before, but if you don't follow me, pop over there and do that. It's at Lather, Rinse, Repeat Retail. And you can also check out my Poshmark closet. It is LRR_retail. And I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.